Now let's talk a bit about the call. So the CET partnership have annual joint calls, and we have groups within the partnership called TRIs, which is transition initiatives. And what they are is that they're basically expert groups who help to formulate the core modules, which is the topic on which you will apply under. And we have different funding partners from all around Europe and the world contributing to these calls. And it's very important to be aware that not all funding agencies, organizations fund every core modules. It will depend on their national policies. So some national agencies might fund 2, some might fund them all. So yes, let's move on. Here we have the core modules for this year's call. You can see that we are operating with 10 different core modules, which address a large variety within the energy field. Particularly pay attention to core module 3, because here we have 2 different approaches which you can apply under. So you have the research-oriented approach, which has a lower TRL level, and then you have an innovation-oriented approach, which has a higher TRL level. Now, it's important to note because you only apply for one. You can also find these in the call text with more information about the scope and the topic itself. So check that out on our website before choosing which one to apply under. Perfect, thank you. Next, Marie. Great. Now, the way we go about this call is that we have a 2-step procedure. Now we're in the pre-proposal phase, which opened on 19th of September. And for those who are successful in this round, they will be invited to submit a full proposal. We will have eligibility checks, which go along our general, national, regional requirements, which I will come back to later. And in both stages, each proposal will be evaluated by 3 experts. We also have 1 ranking list per core module. Yeah, next one, Anne-Marie. Great. So the pre-proposal. If you want to submit a pre-proposal, it's very important to keep it in a light form. We only wish to know about your project, what you intend to do, and that includes a project description, consortium partner data, team members, and project budget. If you are invited to a full proposal stage, here we will ask you to go a bit in depth, and that means that you will have a 30-page outline instead of just a 10-pager, which you will have in the pre-proposal phase. And it shall not thematically diverge very much from what you submit in the pre-proposal. However, it should include specific requirements for each evaluation criteria and data management and risk analysis. And it's very important that if you do any substantial changes within this phase, you should communicate that to your project partners so they are on board with what's in the full proposal, and also your relevant funding partner. All right, and it's important changes in the consortium position. However, it is allowed to replace ineligible partners in cases. We'll come back to this as well. All right, next one, Anne-Marie. So the general step is that you log into our submission platform, which you will also find linked at the CETPartnership website. And there you can choose 1 core module to apply under. You will also find on the submission platform the different templates that you can utilize. There you also have the project coordinator is the one who will go to the submission platform and then invite the project partners. And then it's important that all organizations participating have a pick in that code. All right, next one. So eligibility criteria. We operate with the general eligibility criteria, which goes as follows. Each project proposal must include at least 3 independent legal entities for at least 3 different countries, which 2 of those must be members of the EU or Horizon Europe associated countries. It's also the most important thing is probably that you are applicable at your funding agencies. So you need to check their national annexes, which you can also find on our website and in the call text, to see if you fulfill their national and regional requirements. Now, it's also important that the total efforts of one partner, it cannot exceed 60% of the total project efforts, and this is also measured in personal months. Now, when it comes to countries, you can also see that total efforts of a partner from one country cannot exceed 75% 75% of the total project efforts. So it's important to have a nice balance of representation. Now, next slide, please. Here we also have some example of what a consortia composition can look like. First, you have the obvious requirement that we need minimum 3 partners receiving funding from at least where 2 of them are from an EU and Horizon Europe. And the project consortia might be built up from public research organizations, higher education institutions. You might have some requirements in the core modules to have someone who's from a need owner, other relevant stakeholders such as TCOs or system integrators. You also have some who want to have municipalities, local regional authorities involved. So make sure to read the core modules as well to see what partners they would ideally like you to cooperate with. It's also important that you have one project coordinator, which is eligible for funding from a funding organization. And because you can also have self-finance partners, but they cannot be coordinators of the project. And when it comes to self-finance partners, the self-finance partners did not need to adhere to all the transnational criteria, but they need to have their own secured budget to participate in them. And if I may, if someone is, I think someone's not muted, so please make sure to mute yourself. Thank you very much. Okay, next one, please. Right, so here is also just a model for consortia building. And here you can see that when it comes to grant agreements, they are operated locally, meaning that if you, for example, have a project with 2 partners from France, they are responsible to be in contact with their national funding agencies to make all the payments, reporting, and grant agreements that's necessary. Now, this is obviously in a stage where you have been successful in your application. Next slide, please. All right, so here's the time frame we're operating on this year. We already had the opening on the 19th, and we're closing on the 21st of November at 2 o'clock. And if you're invited to the second stage, that will open on the 29th of January, and then it will close in April. So it's important that you remember that, because some places it's been saying March, but everything shall be updated now, and it's on the 2nd of April. Now, when it comes to funding decisions, those will be communicated in July, and you will have a project start date around September. We'll probably come back with more information regarding that at a later stage. So then you also need to be aware that some national and regional funding organizations, they want you to have applications sent to them as well. So it's important that when you think about your project, you go into the national annexes you can find on our website, and then you see if they require you to send in an additional application as well. That might be in some cases. All right, next slide, please. And here is where you can find information about national contact points. You go to CETPartnership.eu, and then you click on Joint Call 2024. You will find the Joint Call documents with templates and call text above. And in the little section below, funding agencies and core modules, you can click on the different countries participating in this year's call, and on the link you will find the national annexes. In this annexes, you will also find the contact points which you can email to reach out to them. And it's important to note that the participating countries are visual here. If they're not on the list, they're unfortunately not participating this year. All right, next slide, please. And if you want to catch up on CET partnership projects or the application process ahead, you can always refresh your memory by going to our YouTube to look at our call launch event. You will have the TRIs represent more about the call modules and the thematic scope of the call. You can also check out our events on B2Match or follow us for general information on LinkedIn and our website. And if you want to email someone personally, next slide, please, Anne-Marie. Thank you. You can always go here. So for call application submission, evaluation questions, please contact us as call management. If you have thematic questions, contact the TRI offices. They're obviously experts in their field. And if you want to know more about the national regional requirements, please contact your national funding agencies. And for matchmaking, you can always go to matchmaking at CETPartnership and email them as well. And now I think we will begin with the questions from Slido. Okay, if there are any. Selena, there we go. Okay. Industrial applied. I think in the first question here from Arsene, can you provide an explanation for the difference between industrial applied? I think you mean do you mean the research-oriented innovation approach in the core modules I was referring to, or?
Maybe it could be that regarding the different funding organizations, they may have different rates for different participation, but you will have to read carefully the national requirement or the requirements of the different funding organizations too, because it's different from each organization. If that is, if this person,
I think
yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's about the appendix or the point B, which is always mentioned for each different region or country, and there are given different funding rates. For example, a large enterprise can have a range between 40% to 50%, and here it's written that the difference is between, for example, applied research and experimental development, and I think it's not so sharp, the formulation, so I was wondering if there is like a sharp definition for that or not.
I think you will have to contact the funding organization in which you are speaking about, because we don't know all the different, almost 50 organizations, how the rules are. So in the same document you have on top the contact point, please contact them to get a better answer. And if you don't find it, please get back to call management at CETPartnership.eu and we will guide you.
Okay.
So I think we go to the next.
Yeah. All right. If you want to continue a bit, Maria, I'll just quickly fix
absolutely. So there is no documents needed for the first step, and industry partners, it's not always needed to have some kind of document. It's just if you are self-financed, the partners that are self-financed need a letter of commitment in the second step. But it's indicated in the second step. So that's only when you're invited to the full proposal that is needed.
Okay, perfect. So in the first step, it's not needed that we have any kind of binding commitment or something. So it's really just the information provided on the form.
Yeah, you should include budget and everything for that self-finance partner as well, because it's the total budget we are looking at when we're looking at this percentage and everything. So that is included in the form, but no extra documentation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
So we can go to the next.
Is it possible to have, oh, sorry, I was on the wrong one. I think, is it lagging on your side as well, Maria, or is it just my computer?
No, it's fine.
It's fine? Okay. Okay. Are there any specific requirements concerning the principal investigator's qualifications?
No, I think you skipped one. It's the green one.
Is it
possible to have the different research activities per work package? If yes, how will the aid intensity be calculated for our project in a work package basis or for the project? So that is also up to the national, the funding organization requirements. They may fund different activities in different ways, and it's described in their requirements. And if you have questions around it, we ask you to contact the contact point on top of the document, as they can describe better how they are calculating it. Because all funding is made between the partner of the consortium and the funding organization. It's no funding directly to the projects per se. It's between the different partners and the funding organizations. So please contact your contact point to further sort this out.
An addition about the letter of intent, I think it's best to check the national requirement, because I see that at least one funding organization require the letter in the first stage also.
Yes, that's true. It could be required by some funding organizations. So please read carefully the requirements documents of your funding organization and follow that, but no letter of intent for the general proposal. I think we take the next. Are there any specific requirements concerning the principal investigators' qualifications? No, not if there is nothing in the, it may be in the funding organization's requirements that is only specific positions that can apply, but for the general there is not. And you have the possibility to add CVs in the both steps. In the first step it's voluntarily, but in the second step it's mandatory. So please again read the requirements carefully. So I continue, Ragnhild, or do you want to?
Yes, or I think my
Yeah.
computer is lagging a bit, so if you would just mind continuing.
I'll continue. How much involved should the end user be in the pre-proposal phase? Is a letter of intent required? We're considering a storage project with ports on EU islands. So all planned partners should be involved in the first stage. We allow changes in the second stage, but it's not recommended to do this. And it's only certain changes that are possible. You have to check the call text for this. So please include those that you are planning to include in the project. They should all be in, and they should all be having a budget. And as we said before, a letter of intent is not required in the first stage in the CET partnership proposal, but it may be required for some of the national organization. So please read the funding organization requirements carefully to find out if you need that. And then it's probably some kind of submission in a national original portal. I think that was the answer to that one.
Yeah, and then the type of the project partner depend on the national original requirement or core module requirement. So please read the respective part.
Yeah, there may be some call modules that also require some specific types of, for example, industry or research included. So now it's not green, but I think it's, yeah, thanks. We are in progress on a CET project with 2 EU countries. We are planning to install a test bed in EU countries. Can we use the budget that belongs to EU? This is a bit tricky to answer, but EU normally does not allow double funding. But if it's tasks that are not included in the other projects, or that you have separate tasks, but you could benefit from the outcome, it could be a combination. But you could not include EU funding, at least Horizon Europe funding, in the budget of a CET partnership proposals, because then it's double funding. I don't know if I understand right.
So, because through this project, we received the limited budget on this project, and when we install the test bed in EU country, they're gonna use our technology like software, and at that point, are we able to share the budget to use that technology, or we should use each country's their own budget on their areas, like?
Okay, so that is also depending on the funding organization requirements, but most likely it would be seen upon as subcontracting if someone else would use the EU money, and it could not be one of the partners, the funded partners in the proposal. So you have to check with the EU country or the organization where the money comes from if it's allowed to do this way. But to me, it sounds like subcontracting.
Oh, okay. So you mean we need to check with the partners based on the proposals, based
Yes.
on the using this budget. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Welcome. It looks like we are out of questions.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone can, if you can still hear me correctly, but if anyone has questions, they might be able to just raise their hand and take them aloud. If that's something that people wish for like the next 5 minutes or so. And if not,
if there are any problems joining the Slido, you can just raise your hand or turn on your microphone and tell us your question.
And if not, we'll obviously be able to reach us via email as well. So that's also an opportunity if questions arise later. Yeah. It seems like it was crystal clear, maybe. Maybe more questions. Yeah, so maybe then we're actually done for today's. Oh, there is another one. Great. Maria, would you mind also?
Yes. Could you provide any general recommendations on building out an ideal consortium? We are an H2 technology supplier. I have an interested end user. Normally it's you should build it around the ones you need for performing the proposal or the project. And our general advice could be to be more partners than the 3 needed, because sometimes it turns out that someone is ineligible to apply, or sometimes it turns out that once the project started, there was a problem or someone drops out, and then you're not eligible for continuing anymore if you're only 2 eligible partners in the consortium. So try to spread the risks, try to involve the people that you need. But of course, it should be, they should have a task in the proposal, not just add them for being X amount of partners. I would say it depends on each project. And you can, it's good that you have interested end users, and they could be partners in the project. If they have person month, they will put in the project, or they could be associated just having like an advisory, but then they will not be included in the submission form or anything like that. But try to involve all those that you think are valuable for the proposed project.
I could say that the idea to include both technology supplier and end user is good, because we want that the technology should be implemented after the project or in the future to fulfill the climate goal.
And if you have followed the annual conference, you've seen that in the knowledge community and the impact network, there will these partners are good to involve. I think we can go to the next one. Where can I find the requirements for the pre-proposal documents? As Ragnhild showed earlier on our web page, there is, we can put it maybe in the chat. There is a page for documents, and there is a page for where you find the call text, and you find also all the requirements. But there is also a page for all the involved funding organizations, and if you click the name, there is a matrix in what call modules they are involved, because they are not involved, all are not involved in all call modules. So you have to check that as well. And you can click the name and you get their requirements as a document. So we'll see. Someone can help me.
Some funding partner, funding organization require the separate submission. They may have another platform to submit national region documents. So please check the requirement also.
But then there is also included in the requirements. So I will now put in there are documents, and here comes the link to organizations and what call modules. So it's a matrix you can see. So I think that is for that question. And then we have concerning the reporting and knowledge community work package. Could additional DEC activities be also included in this work package? I actually don't know DEC. Could someone enlighten me? What does dissemination and communication, maybe exploitation and communication? Yes, it can be. It should be included in this, but it's also. It can also. Please follow. There is a full section of what should be included in reporting and knowledge community. So please follow that, and if you find things that are not included there, you can have a separate work package for that. So see the call text. If we are providing green hydrogen for steel production, then we would be part of call module 9, integrated industrial, not part of 5, hydrogen. I don't know if we have anyone from the TRIs involved in this. Please contact the respective TRIs office. Yeah, it's indicated in the call text which one is for the two different, and discuss with them if you're not sure when you read the call modules. This is nothing I can answer here.
Core module 5 is more about the technology, and core module 9 more about industrial system. So it depends what you are planning in the project. But I think it's also a good idea to talk with your funding partner, funding organization, or maybe TRI lead.
And as indicated in the call module descriptions, there is a square in the beginning, and in there you have the contact to the which TRI is responsible for the different call modules. And in the top of the national requirements, you have the contact point for your funding organizations, where you could also turn with this question. Okay, next question. Which cost category does reporting and knowledge sharing community cost fall into? Well, it depends on what actions and activities you have. It could be other if you are doing some kind of event. It could be traveling if you are going to the meetings. Person months for performing the work. So it's more what kind of activity you are doing in the work package. So you could have all kinds of cost categories. Hope this was clear. Then it seems like we don't have any more questions. There is anyone? Oh, here comes something. I think. So regarding associate partner, how can we involve them to the consortium? This is a bit up to you. Associated partners are not a part of the CET partnership proposal. If they have person month in the project, we think that they should be partners in the consortium. So associated partners are more of a contact points for different things, maybe just advisory. And then you describe this in the project description. And then when you do the consortium, it's up to you if you involve them in the, for example, the consortium agreement or so, but it's nothing we require. And for the CET partnership proposal, it's only beneficiary partners or self-finance partners that are involved in the proposal. I don't think it's different from the different organizations, but please check your funding organization requirements as well if there are any instructions regarding this. Yeah, and then there was into chat, there are some indications to the different call modules that we discussed earlier, and it's also to find the template and the guide to submission, where you get, please go through this because you get extra information on the form, how you deal with the form and what should be included there. Yes, do we have any more questions? Nothing in the chat, nothing in the Slido. If anyone doesn't make it to Slido, you can raise your hand and take the question here if you still have some questions, or write it in the chat.
Maybe we'll give it another 30 seconds, and if nothing pops on, it's typical that when one closes, they come. So yeah.
And as we said earlier, you are always welcome to contact us at callmanagement@CETPartnership.eu. And we hopefully can answer your questions. Now we got one more, we'll see, or some more. So, okay, regarding TRI 2, the budget should be between 1 and 2 million per project. Can we go a little above than 2 if we are more partners, or is it rigid? I think this TRI 2, it's not a call module, so I don't know if you mean call module 2. I think it says, but not 1 to 2 million, but not limited to. So I think you can be a bit flexible there. So it's nothing in the proposal that will stop you. But of course, if you are way beyond the limit, maybe there will be evaluation will be less beneficial. But if you can motivate the costs, it should be fine. And the next question, is there another Q&A session before the submission? No, we don't have any more submissions. It's only 1 month left. And if you have specific questions, you can contact us in the call management team. And then it's callmanagement@CETPartnership.eu, where you reach us in a mail. And hopefully you find all needed information in our website and in the start page of the portal. We have several documents. And if you have problems with the portal, there is also the IT support for the portal, where you could file a ticket about your problem, and they will help you. And someone asked if the video will be shared, and it will be on YouTube, and the link will be in the send out or in the web, in the page of this event. So there was a question more for call module 8, integrated regional energy systems. We understand the cost is maximum 1.5 to 5. But our local funding partner said it's max 500,000 per partner in Germany. Yes. So the indication of the call modules, it's the total project budget. But when you request funding from your funding organization, it's per partner. So it could well be that your funding organization says that they will only give 500,000 to one partner, whereas the full project cost can still be up to 5 million in that call module. And the call module budgets are indications, because the money comes from the funding organizations, so they have the limits for the partners. I hope this was understandable. If not, maybe you could open the microphone and ask. So the important to check is that the partners' funding requirements, funding organization requirements are followed, because otherwise you will not be able to get funding from that organization. And again, there may be local submissions needed to the funding organizations, and often that is the same submission deadline. So be sure to make that before sending the CET partnership proposal. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Maybe give it some more seconds.
Maybe just also to mention, your questions will, the new ones that is, will also be available at our FAQ at the matchmaking platform. I'm sharing the link in a second. So since this is also our last Q&A session, maybe you can have a look when deadline is approaching to see if someone has submitted a similar answer, or always contact us. We'll find a solution.
And there are also possible to see the FAQ from the launch event. There may be things that you didn't know you wanted the answer to. So please check all the documents on our webpage and also on the start page of the submission portal. There is also a checklist on the submission. I think maybe in both places. There is a checklist of eligibility issues that we have seen from earlier calls. So please go through that checklist and see that you have answered to all these, or have checked all these with your funding organization, so that you are more or less sure that you will be eligible. Because it's a pity if you work with a proposal a long time and then it turns out that some of the partners are not eligible for funding. I could just put the link to the eligibility check in the eligibility issues in the chat. Where can we receive information about the funding process in more details? In the call text. Or if you mean after the funding is, the selection is done, then it's with your local funding organization. So that one we don't have now. You have to contact your funding organization for that.
But maybe it means answer about the results.
I didn't hear what you said. The answer about the.
I'm wondering if it means maybe the answer if the proposal has gone through or not.
Okay, yeah. So the selection will be all the selected proposals will be informed end of January before the opening of the full proposal, and they will get an invitation to submit the full proposal. And then after the full proposal, all applicants will be informed beginning of July which were selected and which were not selected. Now we got some more questions here. Presenting a project, should we only attach the CV of the principal investigator or also for other team members? In the first stage, you do not have to attach any CVs, but if you like, you can do that. And it's up to you if you want to include other team members. For the full proposal, you must have a CV of the principal investigator. And if you want to include other team members, please make one PDF with all CVs in, and maximum 2 pages of CV for each person. Because there is only one place to add one document in the form. I think we can go to the next. Can you recommend a coordinator that is not from Germany? And I found those at the matchmaking platform. Yes, please go to the matchmaking platform, and there you can do different. I think there was a session in the launch event about this. So if you go to that event, you can find a presentation on how to deal with the matchmaking platform, and you can do different searches there. Maybe Selena, could you say something about this quickly, or is it you write something here? Potential
Yes, I wrote
collaboration.
something in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
no worries. I can also post the link to the video recording of the call launch event where we explain how to use the matchmaking platform and how you can present yourself in the best way there to find a potential collaboration partner. Just give me 1 second.
Perfect, thanks. There is also the organization EEN who can help out in these respects, but I think you find information on this on the B2Match platform. And of course, you should include the partners that are good for the project, not necessarily checking different countries or so on. But the implementation of the project is important because that will be evaluated in the relations. So don't forget that. Don't stare at the nationalities. So Selena has included both how to join the platform, a link to that, and also a link to Enterprise Europe Network, who helps out in finding partners for a consortium like this. Okay, any more questions? Now it's in the chat, it says, we received information that if we in Korea receive 1 million for the funding, then EU partners will receive 2 times automatically. Is this right? No, it's not right. The EU co-funding of this part of this call is that the funding organizations are co-funded by EU. So the funding from EU goes directly to the funding organization, so that there is a 30% extra from the EU that can be used in the calls. So there is no direct funding from EU to any of the project partners. If this was not clear, please ask more information. Open the microphone. Here we have a question. Will partner involved from a country with low budget contribution affect the proposal acceptance at the end? No, it will not. It's a question of evaluation of the project, how it can be implemented and how the excellence and impact is. Then from the ranking list of the evaluation, there will be a selection, and there it could be that the budget is exhausted for some funding organizations. But then we have the EU budget to help in this aspect. So the total budget of the funding the country most likely does not affect this, but sometimes some of the funding organizations are oversubscribed, and then it could be a problem. And it could also be undersubscribed countries, even if they have a low budget. If no one is applying, there will be a budget left. And this will be informed on the proposal start page of the submission system after the pre-proposal, so that, because then if you need to replace an ineligible partner, for example, it could be valuable to find a partner in one of the undersubscribed countries, because then there is likely more budget. So some of the proposals will be not selected because there is no more budget, but that is really after all budget is sort of ended. Maybe not described in a good way, but you should not think too much of this when you apply. You should build your consortium around the question and the problem and the project. What do we need? for this. Let me see. Okay, so there is one in the chat. Other people also experience issues with the B2Match platform. I cannot go to my profile or message. Selena, do you know if there has been any IT issue, or is it?
No, not that I'm aware of, and there also hasn't been any word from another participant. But if you write your problem in more detail to the email matchmaking at CETPartnership.eu, I will also write it as an answer to your question. There we can help you further. Then you can explain to us what is the problem, and we can see if we can help you. I haven't been aware of that there was an IT issue with anyone else, so let's hope it's a singular case. But yeah, we'll be
Maybe
able to
it could be a browser issue, so try another browser and see. Sometimes that helps. Or if you don't manage, please contact matchmaking at CETPartnership.eu.
Yeah.
Then we have a question in Slido about the budget. A first stage, do we only need to propose the overall budget? No work package, no personnel, equipment, etc. No, you must specify a budget per partner, since everything is done per partner, because the funding comes from the funding organizations, not as a whole to the project. This is different from ordinary Horizon Europe projects, for example. So in this kind of a call, it's funding organizations funding their partner within the project. You have to specify, and the budget cannot differ too much between the two stages. So please make an effort to have an appropriate budget already in this stage. And you will find all this information in the form. And as we had somewhere in the link, there is also a link to the submission guideline where you get all the information what is needed. So you can check that before entering the form, but you can also enter in the form already now to see what is needed, and that you have to invite the other partners, for example. Without that, you will not be able to perform a proposal and submit a proposal. So please have a look at the form already today. And if there are issues, if it's IT related, contact IT in the form, and if it's within the call issues, contact call management. Well, no more questions.
Seems like it's finally, yeah, ending, I guess, the questions. That is.
And there are lots of links in the chat now, so please have a look at those so that you will find all the information. And go to our webpage, and through that you should find links to all the different B2Match and the submission platform and everything. Okay.
All right. Well, I think then it's just to say thank you all for joining us today, and feel free to ask more questions in the email below, and then we'll assist you to the best of our abilities. So thank you, everyone, and have a pleasant day.